Every school has its secrets, but some of them were buried for a reason. And sometimes they come back. I went to a small-town high school where everyone pretty much knew everyone. It was the kind of place where new faces stuck out like sore thumbs. So when a kid named Eli suddenly started showing up halfway through the semester, everyone noticed. He wasn't introduced in any classes. No announcements from the principal. He just appeared. Eli was quiet, like silent. He never spoke. He never raised his hand. He always sat in the back, wore the same black hoodie every day, and stared straight ahead. No one saw him at lunch. No one saw him come in or leave school. At first, we all thought maybe he was homeschooled and just auditing classes or something. But when people asked teachers about him, they either brushed it off or got uncomfortable. One even said, "Are you sure you're not confusing him with someone else?" That's when it started to feel off. One day in English class, the kid sitting next to me, Jay, leaned over and whispered, "That Eli guy, he's not on the attendance sheet." I checked. He was right. Even creepier, when yearbook photos were taken, Eli wasn't called up. In fact, his name wasn't anywhere in the system. I got curious, maybe too curious. One afternoon, I stayed late under the excuse of needing extra help. I waited outside the school just to see where Eli went. And sure enough, around 4 p.m., I saw him walking into the woods behind the football field. I followed him, keeping my distance. He walked like he knew exactly where he was going. Straight to the edge of a small clearing. There, half buried in weeds and vines, was an old wooden shed. He went inside. I waited, but he never came back out. I finally got the nerve to open the door. The shed was completely empty. Just a dirt floor. No one inside. No back door. The next day, he was back in class like nothing happened. I finally decided to tell a teacher. "Mr. Gleason, I told him everything, the attendance, the woods, the shed." He stared at me for a long time before sighing and pulling out an old yearbook. "Eli Turner," he said, pointing to a faded photo from 8 years ago. "He was in my class once." I felt my stomach drop. He died in a fire, in that same shed, alone. They never figured out how it started. The school tried to cover it up. His family moved away. Most people forgot, but every now and then, Eli shows up again. Always quiet, always watching, always sitting in the back row. What would you do if a stranger came to your child's school claiming to be family, but no one, not even the child, knew who he was? I'm a school nurse at a small middle school just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. It's a quiet place, surrounded by woods and hills, with just under 300 students. I've worked there for 6 years. And I've come to know most of the kids and their families pretty well. One Monday afternoon in late October, I got a call from the front desk saying someone had arrived early to pick up a 6th grader named Mason. Nothing strange at first. Early pickups happen all the time. But the receptionist said something odd. The man waiting outside didn't have ID. He just gave Mason's name and said he was his uncle. When she asked for his name, he hesitated before saying, "It's family business." Something about that felt off. I checked Mason's file. We have all pickup permissions on record. No one by that name was listed. No uncle was ever mentioned, and his mom was usually the one to pick him up. I called Mason's mom immediately. She answered on the first ring and sounded panicked before I could even finish explaining. She said Mason didn't have an uncle, not one. I told the front desk not to release the child under any circumstances and asked them to stall the man while we called the police. Meanwhile, I requested Mason be quietly escorted to the nurse's office for a checkup. I didn't want to scare him, but I needed him close and safe. He came in, confused, asking if he was in trouble. I told him no, but asked him if he recognized the man waiting outside. He peeked through the blinds and immediately shook his head. I locked the door. Within minutes, our principal declared a soft lockdown, just enough to keep kids inside and staff alert, but not enough to incite panic. By the time local police arrived, the man had left, but not before something terrifying happened. He walked around the back of the school. Through security cameras, we saw him try to open 3 different exterior doors before vanishing into the woods behind the baseball field. When police reviewed the footage and ran facial recognition, what they found chilled everyone. The man was a former neighbor of Mason's family, someone who had been arrested 4 years earlier for stalking Mason's mom. He had been released 2 months ago and wasn't under supervision. He had moved less than 10 miles away and was watching them. The part that still haunts me? Mason said he saw the same man outside their house just 2 days before, standing by the woods, watching. He thought it was a hunter, but now we know better. No one ever saw him again, but every day since, I still check the blinds, just in case he comes back. What would you have done in my place? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story gave you chills, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true horror stories just like this. Stay safe and stay alert.